Welcome to Kitten Chronicles. In this series of Chronicles, we're going to expose women in the music industry who is under monarch programming, which comes from MK Ultra, used by the CIA. Also, what springs forth from MK Ultra is beta programming, which is in return sex kidding programming. The purpose for these programmings in the entertainment industry is to degrade and snuff out the way the world see women. These women are modern day witches, and these spells are produced in their music and videos. These women are slaves to the elite, used as puppets to conquer and tear down moral standards in the world. We will touch on the most famous women of the industry who sold their soul for wealth and prosperity and fame, and have launched an attack upon the moral standards of God, and they are here to help bridge the way for the new world order. Therefore, in this chronicle, we will touch on a long overdue subject concerning Cardi B. Welcome to Sex Kitten, Cardi B Chronicles. Welcome back to another episode of the Pastor's Chronicles. Before we get started, I would like to invite you to click the link below and join me on Facebook, the Pastor's Chronicles. Also, I would like for you to follow me on Instagram, where you have a lot of updates there. And also join me on my platform, the Pastor's Chronicles. And you can subscribe to that too. And also I want you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Click the bell so you can get updates and whatnot, so you won't. And I'm dropping right now Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so people, please come back. And I usually drop around 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come through and check me out, because people are not getting notifications. Upon that note, let's get started with the next part of this Chronicles. And we're going to start this chronicle off like this.
Cardi had some really great ideas to get me started on the project. She really was excited to create something fun and something that could take the lyrics and elevate it to just make an experience. You start seeing people's reactions and you're like, okay, I think we were right here. Song, it was basically like, all right, we got to shoot this in like 3 to 4 weeks from now. And considering the way that everything moves so much slower, it was just kind of like, whew. Here we go. I had a couple really great initial conversations with Cardi and met up with her at her house. Started talking about just stylistically what this should look like. And I really wanted to go somewhere that was really trippy, somewhere that was really fun, that had a little bit more innocence than the song has. And I think when you see that kind of juxtaposition as far as the imagery versus what they're saying, it really does kind of make it this really bizarre experience.
Before we get into this chronicle about Cardi B and her sex kidding partner, Stallion. I want to bring your attention to this man here, Colin Tilley. You see, this man right here is a great big asset to Hollywood. I want to show you how this man right here is a part of putting together these satanic videos that really mentally creates a work upon the masses' mind to keep them polluted, drunk, and captive to the brotherhood of the dragons. Now, in order to understand if a person's a part of the brotherhood or the satanic brotherhood or Satan brotherhood, they wear or they throw up signs and symbolisms. So if you look at this brother here, look at his shirt, people. Take a look at his shirt. It is a skeleton head, and also it has it possesses the colors red and blue. Let's get into what red and blue represents, and let's get into the skull that's on his shirt, and we're going to see or point out more symbolisms concerning Mr. Tilley. People, this man is the mastermind behind a lot of videos. And all the videos, lies, messages, subliminal messages, hidden messages that shadows in the corners of people's mind that's lost in transgression. And when the key word is spoken, the masses will be activated to either vote in the Antichrist, to protect the Antichrist, and to war against anybody who speaks against the Antichrist. Mass social media is all about destruction, the destruction of the human mind. Preparing the masses for what we always talk about, and that is a one world order, conditioning you to accept horrific, sinful deeds and works that you would reject God so far out of your heart that it will be easier to receive the mark of the beast. Let's get into it. So, when it comes down to the occult people, you know, everything lines up with them. You know, what's in the video, what they wearing, the colors and everything. So if you look at this brother, we're going to touch on his shirt. If you look at it, you know, it's a skull, which represents skull and bones. So he's a Freemason. And it's a lightning bolt down the middle of the skull, which represented the light bearer, Satan falling from heaven. And then you got the red and the blue. Let's get into the red and the blue, that you will understand exactly what he's doing. And it's something pertaining to duality, which confuses the human mind, and the mind will be able to accept, the evil tendencies that the synagogues of Satan is producing. Let's jump into it. Watch this.
While the yin-yang represents balance of opposing forces, it also represents this duality mindset as well. That's why the symbol is loved by Satanists, witches, warlocks, and all those who practice the occult. The symbol communicates a very specific doctrine in a very subtle way. So let's talk about what the symbol is trying to communicate through duality. The common theme in duality is that you cannot have light without darkness, good without evil, and ultimately you cannot have God without Satan. And so a Satanist, matter of fact, it's not just Satanists, because I have a cousin who believes this, but he doesn't classify himself as a Satanist or occultist. Certain people believe that God and Satan are the same. And it just depends on how you want to look at him, good or evil, but he's still the same thing. And duality says that though they are opposing forces, they are still the same and equal. Light was good, while dark was evil, but they're still the same thing. It's still working for the same power. It is trying to communicate that Satan is God. He wants to be worshipped as an equal with our Creator Yahweh. And so if you have this understanding, this doctrine should make a lot of sense on why it has been created and spread. This doctrine blasphemously wants to place Satan on an equal footing as Yahweh. Dualism is unbiblical, since Scripture does not teach that the universe consists of opposites. Matter of fact, it doesn't even teach that there is a universe, but that's another subject. But yeah, the Bible does not teach that the universe consists of opposites, nor does it affirm that Satan and Yahweh are equal and opposing forces. Yahweh, according to Scripture, is infinitely greater than Satan, and will eventually cast Satan into the lake of fire. This could not be done if they were equal and opposing forces. But this is a subtle doctrine that is being spread. If you pay close attention, you will see that there is symbolism of duality everywhere. Before I show you examples, I again want you to understand what is being communicated. The consistent symbolism is showing that there are opposing sides to everything. And because of this, there really is no good or evil. It just depends on the side that you choose. It is a consistent showing that Satan is equal with God, and therefore is God. It's highly blasphemous to mention, but this is the overall message that is being presented. And so you will see that there have been sides that have been created, and there is always division between them. It shows opposing forces, but all working towards the same thing. In Albert Mackey's Masonic Dictionary, he says this about dualism. It is the state of being twofold, as good and evil, for example. In the old mythologies, there was a doctrine which supposed the world to have been always governed by two antagonistic principles, distinguished as the good and the evil principle. This doctrine pervaded all the Oriental religions. Thus, in the system of Zoroaster, one of the great religious teachers of the East, we have Ahriman and Ormuzd. And in the Hebrew cosmogony, the explanation of the system of the universe, we find the Creator and the serpent. There has been a remarkable development of this system in the 3 degrees of symbolic Freemasonry, which everywhere exhibit in their organization their symbolism, their design, the pervading influences of this principle of dualism. Thus, in the 1st degree, there is darkness overcome by might. In the 2nd, ignorance dispersed by snout. And in the 3rd, death conquered by eternal life. Okay, so you must understand that they are communicating this doctrine of the world governed by two forces, good and evil. And while this understanding bears some truth to it, the overall problem is that what they're actually doing is placing Lucifer, a created being, as an equal with Yahweh, our true creator. And it promotes this idea subtly at all times. And though you are not obviously practicing Satanism if you wear black or white or anything like that, that is not the danger. The danger is unknowingly accepting this doctrine that Satan and God are equals and just called different names, depending on your sect or where you are from. This is a thought that is at the heart of the one world religion. And by the way, the one world religion is being accepted by the masses today. You can definitely see the effects of the symbolism in real life. This symbolism is everywhere, and in many things, is so embedded into us. In the Star Wars video, I illustrated how the Lord of the Rings used this between the wizards. The evil forces searching for the ring were black. When Gandalf came to assist in the end, he was the white wizard. Or how about in The Wizard of Oz, where there was a black witch, which was evil, and the white witch, who was good. There is white magic versus black magic. They are opposites and used in symbolism to reflect the concept of duality. It's also used in the creation of this major form of division and opposing forces that's called racism. From this understanding, we understand why we see the classification of white people versus black people. I'm not black, I'm brown-skinned, but I'm classified as black. That's because of this duality that has been presented by satanic men who subscribe to this occult doctrine. They made opposing forces between races, and it was very specific. You see, these things are used against us to create feelings of animosity and opposition, and we direct it at the other side, but we do not realize that we are being baited into a satanic mindset of duality of opposing forces, and like they do with everything else, they have added race into it as well. This is duality, and it all goes back to yin-yang, which all goes back to a doctrine of Satan being God. I mean, I hope it all makes sense, because it really is a deep subject to try to break down. This is why when you talk to many of these fake woke people, they always sound so confused and all over the place. They are always trying to walk around the fact that they are promoting Satan as God. But it's not only the usage of black and white though. You will also see this commonly used with the colors red and blue. Like in Star Wars, Rey, who was a Jedi and good, had a blue lightsaber, and Kylo Ren, who was on the dark side, had a red lightsaber. In the movie Captain America Civil War, there is consistent showing of duality. Iron Man and his side were red, and Captain America was blue. This poster even shows it with, "Which side are you on?" This wasn't because of the color of their uniform or armor, though that's not a coincidence either, but it's because of duality. Or look at these movie posters, like for the movie The Boss, or Warcraft, or Disney's Zootopia. You remember in the movie The Matrix, there was a red pill or the blue pill? You will see it all the time if you have your eyes open.
They say I'm a nice guy. That I only have a good side and a better side. But what they don't know is that I have another side. A darker side. A badder side. A side you don't want to be on the wrong side.
Hey, honey. Did you remember to get the milk?
So as I was saying, I can be merciless, ruthless, ravenous, relentless.
In sports, there is more often than not the red team and the blue team. Like you will see it often in boxing fights or in the All-Star games. In gangs, there's red versus blue, blood versus Crips. This is duality. And with all those other examples, you will not see a more concrete example of this than when you're examining US politics. Republicans are red, Democrats are blue. In the presidential debates, they often wear these color codes. Oftentimes, a Republican may wear a blue tie and a Democrat wear red. This is a classic yin-yang. The off-coloring away from their party colors is like the offset dot in each shape. Like many times, if you see President Trump wearing a red tie, you will often see someone else behind him or next to him wearing a blue tie. Like I said, this is not coincidence. And this is easily proven when you see how often this symbolism is presented. Now, I am positive that there is more being communicated within these colors, like red versus blue is fire versus ice, another piece of occult symbolism. But the underlying message all has to do with duality. There are meanings behind the two colors. Like white versus black, red and blue have their own meanings as well. The color red is thought to convey a number of emotions that are displayed through the color. Red is associated with excitement, energy, passion, love, desire, speed, strength, power, heat, aggression, danger, fire, blood, war, violence, all things intense and passionate. Blue is associated with peace, tranquility, cold, calm, stability, harmony, unity, trust, truth, confidence, conservatism, security, cleanliness, order, loyalty, sky, water, technology, sadness. The red versus blue originated within the Egyptian pagan religion and is used today for esoteric or occult purposes. This all goes back to the principle behind yin and yang. In Egyptian culture, in the Egyptian Hall of Judgment, a departed soul meets with the gods to plead his case of 42 negative confessions. During this confession, the deceased would have his red heart weighed against the blue ostrich feather of the goddess Ma'at on a scale of justice. If his heart were too heavy, filled with iniquity and sin, then his soul would be fed to a demon, and his spirit would cease to exist. If his red heart equals exactly the weight of the blue feather, Anubis would allow him safe passage into the afterlife. So from this, the red versus blue occult symbolism was conceived, and is of course used often, without the knowledge of the general public. Ma'at refers to the goddess and ancient Egyptian concept of truth, balance, order, harmony, law, morality, and justice. This is all very deep stuff, and goes much deeper than what I am explaining, because I only understand it very surface level due to much reading, but there's a lot more that can be said. I will stop here and maybe provide more clarifications in the future. I want to make sure that you understand that it's not the usage of these colors that is evil, and I'm not saying that anyone who uses these colors in their art is evil or communicating something satanic. With many people, this imagery and colors are just embedded into our subconscious, and they do not realize what they are conveying. So you shouldn't go around and point fingers just because you see red and blue or white and black. The point I want to make clear is that there is a subliminal message being done to influence our subconscious, and if our minds are alert to detect this when we are seeing it, these subliminal tricks will be much less effective. Satan is not an equal with God, and according to Revelation chapter 20, in the end he will be cast into the lake of fire. There does not need to be a balance of good and evil. The only reason that doctrine exists is because Satan is the god of that belief. When the duality symbolism is being presented, I want you to recognize it and know that you should not take any of the sides. These sides have been artificially created to create opposing forces, but each side works toward the same ultimate goal. In the real world, according to our Creator, there is no real white versus black, Republican versus Democrat, capitalist versus socialist, East versus West, etc. These are all man-made sides. The only true opposition is Satan, rebelling against Yahweh. And that really isn't a side, because Satan is of no comparison to the one true God. Satan promotes rebellion against Yahweh and his commands, and you must stand steadfast in opposition against that rebellion.